Grand Rapids, Michigan, U.S. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos told CNN's State of the Union Sunday morning that the CDC guidelines in place for schools to reopen this fall are meant to be flexible. The CDC guidelines are just that, meant to be flexible and meant to be applied as appropriate for the situation, DeVos, who was speaking from Grand Rapids, told CNN's Dana Bash in a more than 20-minute interview. DeVos said repeatedly the key is for kids to return to school full-time. "We know there are going to be hot spots and those are going to need to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis," she said. The secretary said what full-time learning looks like this fall will look different dependent upon the district, but the bottom line is schools need to be open. She said she is okay with schools closing for a short time if there is a prevalence of the coronavirus, but schools need to be making plans to deal with those situations when they arise and not preparing to begin the school year remotely. When asked whether the U.S. Department of Education had guidelines in place for districts to follow if those situations did arise, DeVos said districts should have individual plans in place as every situation is different. "Schools should do what's right on the ground at the time for their students and for their situation," DeVos said. "There is no uniform approach that we can take or should take nationwide." Bash pressed DeVos about the CDC guidelines, which among other things, recommends 6 feet of social distancing for all students. Playing a clip from a pre-recorded interview with Fairfax County, Virginia, Public Schools Superintendent Scott Braband, whose plan DeVos has been critical of, Bash asked the secretary about the plan. Braband, who oversees a district with 188,000 students according to the district website, said it simply was not feasible to adhere to CDC guidelines and be open this fall. The superintendent said students in his district are on average about 18 inches from one another. He told Bash parents and students would be given the choice of spending 2 days per week in school this fall, while spending the rest of the week virtually learning, or they could elect to go completely virtual. DeVos said Braband's plan does not provide valid options for families and is not a full-time learning plan. When asked if the district should adhere to CDC guidelines, DeVos said those guidelines are flexible. "Kids have got to be learning full-time and have the expectation that the next school year is going to give them at least a school year's worth of learning if not more because so many of them fell behind," DeVos said. The secretary was asked if she was concerned about a record number of new COVID-19 cases on Friday, July 10 and the fact that 45 of 50 states are seeing a higher daily average of new cases now as compared to when schools closed in March.